Hi, everybody. Welcome to WCAX. This is our live desk streaming show. It's working out about 9:18 right now. Today, we're going to bring on Catherine Huntley. I know we're just after the new year. A lot of people have their New Year's resolutions. They want to cut back. A lot of people opting for dry January. That's kind of where we kick off today. So, Catherine, I know you talked to some young people. You went to a brewery as well. And when you talk to some of these people out in the greater Burlington area, what were they saying as far as that trend goes? If they're drinking, not drinking, and such.
Well, sort of anecdotally, first of all, the story
Yeah.
started as just a dry January story. What are your
Yeah.
options out there? Who's doing it? But it sort of evolved to where do we stand right now? There was a huge surge in alcohol drinking during COVID as people were stuck in their homes with not much else to do. And so a lot of people turned to alcohol. And we'd heard nationally that younger generations were not drinking as much. So, like Gen Z, not drinking as much. So, I was obviously pretty curious about this. I'm a millennial, so I was not part of that. And so I went out to run UVM's campus, and the first two people I spoke to, young people under 25, both are either cutting back or just simply just don't want to drink at all. And I said, well, why not? They're like, well, a lot of my friends don't drink. I just don't think it's that fun. If you go overboard, you waste your whole next day because you're hungover. It's really like health conscious reasons. And I was like, well, what about your social life? Do you feel pressure when you're out? And they're like, no, a lot of my friends don't drink, and you don't need alcohol to have fun, which is really what has been following the national trend. So it's very, very interesting.
Yeah, and again, I think this is one of those, and not your story in particular, but and especially in news, we every year we come back after the new year and say, oh, New Year's resolutions, you dry January. They've done damp January, where you kind of do a pseudo kind of thing. But especially when you went to these breweries, now there's so many options. And I know just again more anecdotally again, but there's NA beer, there's cider, and then there's there's these CBD drinks, which I guess is an alcohol. But what do some of those options look like?
Well, so like 10 years
Yeah.
ago, I mean, you could get something called like an O'Doul's,
Right.
which was
Right.
just, it's like a non-alcoholic beer. And that was like the only one I was
Yeah.
even like aware of in my kind of scope.
Yeah.
But it's over the last 10 years, and I spoke to Zero Gravity, they said there's been a huge shift. And so, for instance, Zero Gravity sort of got in maybe a little bit ahead of the game and have sort of formed this entire, what they call Rescue Club Brewing Company, around non-alcoholic drinks and beers. You can get an IPA and a Pilsner that's non-alcoholic, so it's less than 0.5% alcohol. And I
Yeah.
tried the Rescue Club IPA. I love IPAs, and I was like, it tasted like an IPA. Like
Yeah.
I really wouldn't have been any the wiser. So it was it was really fascinating. And they say they're definitely seeing people maybe choose a more healthier option and go for maybe that balance. People are still drinking. They're still coming to the brewery to get, the beers that they've come to know and love. But, maybe some people come during the weekend, get a Rescue Club or get a Hop Fizz, which is just kind of hop water.
Yeah.
So there's plenty of options out there. And if you go into a liquor store, as part of my dry January store I did last year, I mean, you can get just about any liquor, wine, beer that you could think of. You
Yeah.
can get it in an alcohol-free form, which is really interesting.
Yeah, no, and the funny thing, I know you had mentioned this just a few minutes ago, but growing up, when I worked working in a bar, the only non-alcoholic option we had was Coors non-alcoholic, and now we have not only that, which is a light beer, we have IPAs, we have Pilsners, we have really the full spectrum. I even a couple days ago there was it was White Claw NA, which
Oh,
non-alcoholic,
wow.
which in my head I'm thinking it's just seltzer. It's
Filter
alcoholic,
water.
but seltzer water. But,
Well,
but you know what I mean? Those options are now, three, fourfold now. So it's definitely a lot
yeah.
lot out there.
And talking to the
Yeah,
brewery, they really want to make sure that, there has been a dip this year.
yeah,
Last fiscal year, they saw a 1.8% in Vermont decrease in people purchasing spirits. But this is after there was a 15% increase in people purchasing spirits in the first 2 years of COVID. So,
yeah,
it's sort of leveling off or maybe market correcting, but there's also a few national trends that they are seeing here in Vermont. Um, states that have legalized recreational cannabis are seeing a little bit less alcohol usage.
Yeah.
Younger generation, like we said, aren't drinking as much. Inflation, people don't want to purchase alcohol as much. And finally, people becoming more health conscious. Just last week, there was a study that came out, I believe, on Friday that was heavily publicized nationally, where they want to put more warning labels on alcohol because they have found that it could cause more cancer.
Yeah.
So it's, there's a lot of things, but people are still drinking, and people in, Vermont still love their craft beer, and the brewery I spoke to said that's not going away, but they just want to make sure that they have options
Yeah.
when people want to socialize and maybe don't want to drink that night. They
Yeah.
can still come and enjoy being out with their friends.
No, absolutely. And seeing that, that I don't even want to say dip because it's pretty small, but again, going back to even the social aspect of, hey, you go out to a bar and you want something in your hand, you want something,
Yeah.
you want to drink something too, not just a soda or a water.
You got to take those awkward sips when there's something to talk.
Exactly.
The lulls, right?
Yeah, but I think it's definitely more comforting for people to have that. And again, if you're not drinking or you're doing like a damp January, then that's kind of your option there. But that's really interesting stuff. And again, and I guess a state that has a huge craft beer industry.
Yeah.
Very, I guess, good for folks getting out there. But Catherine, thanks so much. Again, we'll show that in just a sec. And I guess my last thing too is I know you said you tried it yesterday. Did you ever think, even though it's a non-alcoholic beer, you'd be drinking a beer on the job?
No, John, certainly not. But it was like kind of a nice twist, you know, because I had to cut out for timing purposes. I actually sat down and was like, one beer, please, and one non-alcoholic beer, please.
Yeah.
It was a really fun way to sort of tell that part of the story. But it tasted good. Yeah. So
I look forward to seeing it. But Catherine, thank you so much. We'll play that in just a sec. But thanks for hopping on this morning.
All right, thanks, John.
All right, we're going. Okay, that was Catherine Huntley just again talking about some options that some Vermonters have when it comes to maybe heading out with friends, coworkers, etc., and grabbing a beer or anything else, a non-alcohol option, and what they can to do to get out and enjoy themselves. We'll play that in just a sec.
Young people choosing more and more to cut back on drinking.
I drink on special occasions, if at all, not very often. Coming into the new year, I'm thinking that I'll probably stay dry most of the year.
Health reasons and friends who drink less curbing the desire to drink.
Sometimes you go overboard and the next day it's never good, and then it's just a waste of a day of feeling bad.
These are trends that are being seen nationally, according to the Vermont Commissioner of Liquor and the Lottery.
In general, also consumers are becoming much more health conscious and much more sort of intentional in terms of their drinking habits.
During the first 2 years of COVID, sales at 802 Spirits establishments spiked 15%, then slowed to a 2% increase. But in the last fiscal year, the state saw a decrease of 1.8% in sales.
Our wine manufacturers, our cider manufacturers, the brewers, the distilled spirits manufacturers in Vermont, they are all seeing those trends as well. They're seeing across the board alcohol consumption is declining, and it's impacting their businesses.
Commissioner Wendy Knight says one thing that is increasing, the sale of low alcoholic and non-alcoholic beverages.
Thank you. No worries, I'm not here drinking on the job. Turns out more and more people are turning to non-alcoholic options as part of their drinking habits.
At Zero Gravity, they are still pouring plenty of beer and alcoholic beverages to patrons of their brand. But they've also evolved with the industry, making many non-alcoholic options to meet more of the growing demand for a diversifying crowd.
We've done our best to build a really loyal following, and that includes the non-alcoholic sphere. So providing balance in those choices and making sure there's something for everybody on every occasion is going to keep driving the business forward and keep us positive for the future.
Costello says people still love to go out to bars, restaurants, and parties, and meeting everyone's needs is what keeps driving their business forward. In Burlington, Catherine Huntley, Channel 3 News.
Again, that was our Catherine Huntley there talking about some non-alcoholic options if you're trying to do start off the new year, maybe go in dry January. But now kind of shifting gears here to weather here, Jess. Kind of a nasty morning. I just no way to put it. I even went out to the car just about an hour ago. and it's just windy. It's cold. It's like a biting cold outside.
It is. It's really
Yeah.
the wind that's making it a lot worse. I mean, have we had much more extremes in January over the years? Sure.
Yeah.
But the last couple winters have been very mild. We haven't
Yeah.
had much cold, and this has been a more sustained period of cold, and really the wind is what's driving
Killing me.
the really intense
Yeah.
feel out there. And we still have some slippery areas as well this morning. We
Yeah.
had that issue yesterday, and that's really going to be kind of all day today and tomorrow too. Not much change in
Yeah.
the weather there, where we have the persistent clouds, the areas the areas that are favoring the snow,
Yeah.
you know, the northern mountains. But even here, you know, we're seeing flakes in Burlington. There are
Yeah.
a number of spots in the Champlain Valley that are seeing some slippery spots now.
Yeah. There was some
Even-
blowing snow this morning too.
that's part
Yeah.
of it too. Is it's when it's this cold, the snow is so light and
Yeah.
powdery. I mean, I'm looking at snow drifts across the roof of the building
car
nearby
right now,
here.
yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't take much wind to blow the
Yeah.
snow around, so that also kind of further limits visibility. Thankfully, the intensity hasn't been too much of this snow, but it's also causing some of that snow to blow across the roads again. So even if it's not necessarily falling super heavy, you
Yeah.
can get a coating on the road, and it's kind of. I think whenever we have like a major winter storm, you always think, oh, the roads are going to be bad. The roads are going to be bad. You know,
Yeah.
when we're talking about plowable.
Yeah, like
lots-
real.
Right.
Yeah.
But even this is the really deceptive kind of. It sneaks up on you.
Yeah.
It doesn't take much. You know, you only have a couple inches, if that, on the ground, and you can get some really nasty road conditions. And of course, we have seen it piling up in the mountains
Yeah.
too. But I'm talking even in the Champlain Valley.
Yeah,
you know?
and that in mind too. I just wanted to. I know you have this up next, but look at that. Is that everything's completely iced over?
Yeah, those
Yeah.
trees, they are thickly coated in
Yeah.
snow there, and you can see the wind going up there on the mountain too. So, you know, it's good that we've been refreshing our snowpack, lots
Yeah.
of fresh powder up there, but nasty feel up there right
I also
now.
think a lot of people, everyone in the office now is like, oh man, I want to get back up skiing and all that. And I was like, just wait a couple days. So it's cold up there.
It is,
Yeah.
and the coldest time is really going to be now through tomorrow morning. Tomorrow afternoon is still going to feel pretty nasty, and even Friday isn't,
Yeah.
and the weekend aren't going to be warm by any means. I mean, we're still talking about highs in the teens on Friday,
Yeah.
but at least the wind chill factor, I think, is worse now through tomorrow morning and into tomorrow afternoon. So just, you know, it's winter, but it's not super pleasant out there right
No,
now.
not by any means.
So, you know, we're looking at the snow on the mountain right now, and these are some reports since Monday. This is kind of a long duration event. We've been seeing this since yesterday especially, and we'll still see it today, tomorrow. I mean, so Dickinson Center, that's in Franklin County, New York. We've been seeing some totals approaching a foot in those areas, and also up into the St. Lawrence Valley, Starksboro. This was a report from yesterday evening, 10 inches, so it's probably more there now. Waterville, Walden, Bakersfield, half a foot. Underhill, 5 inches as of yesterday evening, a couple inches in Castleton. And I do want to look now at some of the road conditions out there. I know we had Sophia out in Street View 3 this morning. Certainly a lot of those roads in Underhill, Jeffersonville, snow-coated. This is like at 89 right now. And look at the pavement temperatures. That's what we're looking at on the numbers on the side of the screen. These aren't the air temperatures. These are the pavement temperatures. They're only in the teens, 9 in the case of Brookfield. So that snow is not melting on contact. That is sticking. Thankfully, the roads there are looking okay right now, but there are certainly some spots along 89 where we're seeing some snow on the roads. Berlin looking okay, Waterbury looking okay. But look what happens when you get up into Bolton and even Williston. It looks like it's been plowed in Williston there, but Bolton is looking pretty snow-covered, and we have seen that snow filling back into the Champlain Valley on radar now, too. So definitely, just the overall takeaway is if you're out and about and you see a coating of snow on the ground or even wet roadway, just assume that it is probably slippery and use common sense. You know, slow down, increase your following distance, don't slam on the brakes, don't do rapid turning acceleration. We've seen a number of crashes slide off since yesterday, and that's going to continue those types of road conditions today and tomorrow. Again, a lot of this isn't necessarily being picked up on radar. The stuff in the Champlain Valley is. We're really seeing that hugging the mountains, and visibility kind of gives us a good idea of where snow is falling. We've seen that visibility in Burlington drop to 2 miles, which is lower than it was earlier. So we've seen that kind of filling back into the Champlain Valley. Really the northern half of the area seeing the brunt of this. Plattsburgh's looking okay right now. We still have winter weather alerts in effect for the area shaded in blue, and this has been extended until 7 p.m. Thursday evening now. Again, these areas, Franklin, Lamoille County, eastern Chittenden, and then that section of northern New York, Franklin and western Clinton County, is where we're expecting the highest additional snow accumulations and the most impacts to road conditions. We'll still see the steadiest snow in those areas today. Some light snow showers or flurries elsewhere, and again, some of those snow showers, even steadier showers filling into parts of the Northeast Kingdom and Champlain Valley at times. Not much change tonight. We'll still see those favored areas into Thursday morning. We still could see some persistent snow showers in really most of Franklin, Chittenden, Addison County into early Thursday morning. Eventually that tapers off Thursday night. And Friday is kind of our break, where it's mostly cloudy. We do get some sunshine filtering in there, especially late in the day. And then for the weekend, we're tracking the chance for some additional light snow accumulations. But for this rest of this burst through Thursday, on top of what has already fallen, some of those favored spots around Jay Peak, Mount Mansfield, those spots right in Franklin County, New York, and into Malone area even could see an additional 6 to locally 12 inches in some of the highest terrain. I think a lot of the mid elevations of the northern half of the area see anywhere between 2 and 4, maybe 5 inches of snow. It could be as low as an inch in the Champlain Valley. And then Central Green Mountains, still probably additional 2 to 5. Once you get away from the high terrain in central and southern Vermont, we're really looking at a dusting to a couple inches through the day tomorrow. And of course, that's all just the snow factor. Then we addressed the biting wind chill out there. This is the current wind chill. Feels like 11 below in Montpelier right now, 10 below in Saranac Lake and Lyndonville, and just really cold. If you want to warm up right now, go to Brattleboro. That's the warm spot. It's 14 degrees out, or what it feels like out there. But we're still looking at those stiff northwesterly winds really through the next day, still kind of up in that 25-mile-an-hour range. And I do want to point out, localized area of stronger wind gusts in southern Vermont. There's a very localized wind advisory for a good chunk of Windham County minus areas right along the Connecticut River, including Brattleboro, but that's where we have the potential for some of the strongest gusts with sustained winds, 15 to 25 miles an hour, and some periods of gusts in that 40 to 50 mile an hour range through tonight. So I want to highlight that area right now and look at places like Stratton is where we could see those gusts in excess of 35 to even briefly up to 50 miles an hour through this evening. So just really nasty winds on top of the cold that we're seeing. Again, any of like the more noteworthy winds are going to be kind of localized to that area, but still just unpleasant wind chills the rest of the area. So this afternoon, we're still looking at not much improvement. Wind chills, single digits through this afternoon. Not much change tomorrow morning. You're going to really want to bundle up again tomorrow morning, feeling like single digits, teens below 0 to start the day on Thursday. Tomorrow afternoon, not much better, feeling like single digits either side of 0 for most of us. And then eventually we'll start to feel a gradual improvement. Again, this is a look at the additional snowfall through the next couple days. This afternoon, we're looking at those actual temperatures topping out upper single digits to mid-teens, maybe a couple low 20s in places like Brattleboro, but really feeling colder across the board. Actual temperatures, single digits to around 10 degrees to start out the day tomorrow morning. And then tomorrow afternoon, another chilly one. We're looking at temperatures topping out in the teens to low 20s out there. Still cold, still blustery. Friday is our break in the weather. We're still looking at highs in the mid-teens. Saturday, we are keeping an eye on a system. Thankfully, the main area of low pressure stays well to our south, but we have this sort of little upper level low, this little trough that swings in with it, which brings a little bit of snow. Looks like anywhere from a dusting to a few inches out of that one. Moves out by Sunday. And then notice Monday, Tuesday next week, those highs getting back into the mid-20s to near 30. That's near our normal highs for this point in January. So certainly been feeling colder than normal. Nothing unprecedented, but we will be trending back closer to I think what would be considered average for January by early next week.
Yeah, I never really thought I'd be looking forward to 26, 30, but I think it's the best we're going to get. in the near future here. So it's nice.
Right.
Yeah.
I always just I'm trying to think of it in the context of as much as the cold can
Yeah.
sometimes be unpleasant to experience, at least it's a little bit closer to normal compared to some of the abnormal warmth that we've had the last couple winters. Build up the snowpack and have it look like winter out there.
That's what I mean. Have it look like winter, and honestly, we'll take normal.
Right.
At this point, we'll take it. Jess, thank you. And I think it is for us here on WCA Extra. Of course, you can see Jess and I just a couple hours at the noon. All of our content on WCAX.com, and of course our evening shows coming up tonight. So tune in for that. Till then, we'll see you.